Was it just another endorsement, or the moment the industry finally had to admit the V effect is real? Why did Snow Peak's sales suddenly surge, and why does Kim Taehyung's name keep appearing in data, reports, and media headlines every single time? Asterisk, asterisk at first, it sounded like a familiar story. Another global brand, another celebrity face, another marketing collaboration that would briefly trend on social media before quietly fading into the background. But then the numbers came out. Then the media followed. Then the confirmation arrived, not from fans, not from speculation, not from online hype, but from credited data, real results, and industry acknowledgement. Outdoor brand Snow Peak, featuring BTS's Kim Taehyung, officially recorded a surge in sales, and with that announcement, one uncomfortable question rippled through fashion and business circles alike. Is this still coincidence, or is the V effect now an undeniable economic phenomenon? For years, Kim Taehyung has occupied a unique position in global pop culture. He is not merely a K-pop idol, not only an actor known for his role in the musical film Downfall's High, and not just a fashion muse photographed by the world's most prestigious magazines. He is a cultural catalyst whose presence consistently transforms attention into action. And yet, every time this transformation occurs, skepticism resurfaces. Is it really him? Is it timing? Is it fan power? Or is it something far more measurable, far more concrete, and far more disruptive to traditional marketing logic? Snow Peak's recent confirmation did not arrive in a vacuum. It landed in a long, well-documented history of Taehyung-linked impact, a pattern so consistent that even industry insiders have begun to phrase it cautiously, almost defensively, as the so-called V effect. But when sales surge, inventories move faster, websites see spikes, and consumer behavior shifts in a measurable way, the phrase so-called starts to sound less like caution and more like denial. What makes this moment different is not just the outcome, but the credibility of the source. Snow Peak is not a fast fashion experiment chasing viral relevance. It is an established outdoor brand with a clear identity, a loyal customer base, and long-term strategies rooted in functionality, sustainability, and lifestyle storytelling. For such a brand to publicly acknowledge a surge in sales linked to Kim Taehyung is not a casual decision. It is a statement backed by internal data, market analysis, and performance metrics that cannot be dismissed as fan enthusiasm alone. The phrase V effect has floated through online discourse for years, often propelled by screenshots of sold-out items, before and after comparisons, and anecdotal evidence from consumers. But Snow Peak's confirmation marks a turning point where that phrase transitions from fandom vocabulary into business language. When a company credits a collaboration for tangible sales growth, the conversation changes. It stops being about popularity and starts being about influence. Why does this keep happening with Kim Taehyung? That is the question analysts, journalists, and brand strategists quietly ask each time his name appears alongside another spike in demand. Unlike traditional brand ambassadors who are selected to represent a product category they already align with, Taehyung often enters spaces without prior association, and yet the results follow. From fashion to music to lifestyle brands, the pattern remains strangely consistent. Visibility leads to curiosity. Curiosity turns into engagement. Engagement converts into purchase. But there is another layer to this story that numbers alone cannot explain. Kim Taehyung's appeal is not built on aggressive promotion. He does not oversell. He does not perform scripted endorsements that feel transactional. Instead, his influence operates through authenticity, an intangible quality that modern consumers increasingly value, yet rarely trust. When Taehyung is seen wearing, using, or associating with a brand, it does not feel like advertising. It feels like personal taste. And in an era where consumers are exhausted by constant marketing, that distinction is everything. Snow Peak's brand identity emphasizes nature, quiet luxury, and intentional living, values that align seamlessly with Taehyung's public image. His affinity for calm moments, introspection, art, and simplicity resonates deeply with Snow Peak's core philosophy. This alignment is not accidental, and consumers sense that. When audiences perceive harmony between a brand and its representative, trust forms quickly, and trust drives purchasing decisions more effectively than any slogan ever could. Still, even with alignment, not every collaboration produces such dramatic results. The difference lies in Taehyung's audience. BTS's global fanbase, ARMY, is famously dedicated, but to reduce this phenomenon to fandom purchasing power alone would be misleading. Snow Peak's surge did not come solely from existing fans buying merchandise as memorabilia. Reports indicate that new demographics engaged with the brand, discovering it through Taehyung's association and choosing to explore its products beyond a single item. That shift from symbolic purchase to lifestyle adoption is where real commercial impact is measured. Media coverage amplified the moment, but it did not create it. Journalists did not invent the surge, they reported it. And the language used was telling. Headlines did not merely mention a collaboration. They highlighted results. They used words like proven, recorded, and confirmed. In an industry often dominated by vague success narratives, specificity stands out. This is where the emotional dimension of the story emerges. For fans, Snow Peak's acknowledgement felt like validation. Years of watching Taehyung's influence be minimized or dismissed suddenly collided with official recognition. For critics, it forced a reevaluation. For brands observing from the sidelines, it raised a strategic question. What does it mean to collaborate with someone whose impact is not theoretical but measurable? The surprise, perhaps, is not that the surge happened, but that it continues to surprise people at all. Kim Taehyung has repeatedly demonstrated that his cultural footprint extends beyond music charts and streaming numbers. His presence shapes trends, shifts conversations, and influences consumption in ways that defy traditional marketing models. Each confirmed result adds another data point to a growing body of evidence that suggests something larger. Is it play? Is it charisma? Is it storytelling? Is it the emotional connection he fosters with audiences across cultures and languages? Or is it the rare combination of artistry, sincerity, and timing that cannot be replicated through strategy alone? Snow Peak's experience suggests that the answer may be all of the above. What makes this moment especially compelling is its timing. The fashion and lifestyle industries are undergoing a reckoning. Consumers are more selective, more values-driven, and more resistant to overt advertising than ever before. In this environment, influence must be earned, not imposed. Taehyung's impact thrives precisely because it feels organic. His presence does not interrupt. It invites as media outlets continue to analyze the V effect. One detail remains constant. Confirmation keeps coming from outside the fandom. From sales reports, from sold-out notices, from brand statements, from market behavior that follows a familiar pattern whenever Kim Taehyung's name enters the equation. Snow Peak's surge is not an isolated incident. It is part of a continuum, a growing archive of moments where influence becomes evidence. And with each new confirmation, the industry inches closer to a reluctant admission. This is no longer an anomaly. What happens next? Will more brands seek not just Taehyung's visibility, but his alignment? Will analysts begin factoring emotional resonance into predictive models? Will the term "the effect" eventually appear not as a catchy phrase, but as a recognized case study in marketing textbooks? The clues are already there. When a single individual consistently bridges culture and commerce, when media confirms results instead of speculating, and when data echoes what fans have long observed, the narrative shifts. Kim Taehyung's impact is no longer a question of hype. It is a record of outcomes.